I've never said, I've just never That's all right. Yeah. Gotta have some Time I had it, man. In public comments, I think Nathan, he owns the Shady Lawn, or he leased it. And they're opening a restaurant, hopefully in a month. So he's leased it out. Nathan Ritter. Gittner, sorry, Gitt. I reset it, come back, the screen wouldn't flip, but I went in and settings and reset everything, so it'd come back up. But I looked and it wasn't on, do it, whatever. Sometimes I just like to be restarted. I'll call him sometimes, I just restarted it. Fix it. That's fine. That's fine. All right.
We will bring our June 20th, 2022 meeting to order. We want to thank everyone that's here and going to participate in the business of the county. And Dennis, would you lead us in prayer?
Lord, we thank you today for every good gift that you give us, the joy of being in this place at this time and all the means that have brought us here. Lord, we're grateful for your watch, care, and provision over all of those present every day. Pray, Lord, you'd be with those that need to feel your touch even in their lives, and we ask that you would give us your guidance and leadership as we try to discern decisions that affect the people in this county, the future we have. Lord, we thank you for all that you have done, are doing, and will do in the future. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. If you all would, let's all stand, and we'll ask Tim if he'll lead us to our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move right along with our meeting. 3.2A, proclamations and awards.
We don't have any this time, Madam Chairman.
All right, 3.2B, do we have someone here that would like to speak in our public comment? If you do, come to the podium.
Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'd like to just introduce myself. For those of you who have not met, my name is Nathan Gittner. We moved up here about 7 years ago, bought a summer place up here, and kind of got stuck, and we never left. It's been wonderful. The community's been very accepting because we are from Charlotte, so, you know, that is state and central, I realize that. But anyway, it's been a great, great experience. And recently, we kind of gotten involved with something else, and we are actually opening this radio line. So we've actually acquired it. Been great to get to know the Ray family, and so many other people in the community. I'll tell you, it's been wonderful just being there, people coming in. We're so glad you're open. We're glad to hear what's going on. The community really needs this. It's been a great, great experience. So Saturday morning, at 10:30 is actually our official reopening, grand reopening. So we'll have a honor guard and national anthem of the band, and we've got musicians and face painting and some water things for the children. So we're all invited to come. Bring your children, bring your grandchildren. We are doing it obviously in coordination with the big event out there on the square. We'll look forward to continuing to be a part of the community, and this really does give us something in order to give back to it. So appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for letting me speak for a while.
What time's breakfast gonna be? That's where I'm
So the restaurant is not us. I've actually leased it out, and they hope to be opening next month. And last I heard, she was planning on being open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So
That's what I heard.
So yes, they will have. They were last I heard, they will have breakfast. So
Good.
very good.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll move right along to 3.2. Or first of all, was there anyone else wanting to speak in public comment? Get a little feisty sometimes. All right. 3.2, the Avery County Economic Development Committee.
So, Madam Chairman, you've had some applications to look over. There are 3 vacancies on the Avery County Economic Development Committee, and these applications have been reviewed. So these people are Ellis Ayers, Susan Cirilla, and Kate Cavanis. So is there a motion to accept those on the board?
Move with point, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I'll let them know they won.
That's all we said.
We'll have 2 new ones and one that's been there since.
One new one, and one been there since a long time ago. Yeah, and but Kate's been on there.
Okay.
So Kate put her name back in. She's invaluable
Okay.
also.
3.2C2, our Avery County Agriculture Advisory Committee.
So attached, there are 2 applications for the Agriculture Advisory Committee also. Jeff Vance is applying in the Toe River District seat, and Mark Fleer will be applying as an at-large member, and those have also been reviewed. So if there's consideration there.
Move to approve. Second.
All right. Mr. Phillips moved and made the motion. Woody seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. 3.3A, by health education.
So Justin Burleson, it's your turn, sir.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. As always, we like to come at least every few months and kind of give you an update on what's going on, and I think what you have in front of you is a set of slides that we'll kind of walk through and talk about just a little bit. And I'll try to move rather quick, but feel free to stop me if you guys have questions. The first is just a new map of kind of how we've restructured our board. We went from a board of directors to more of a regional board, which consolidation with Cardinal Innovations happened. We went from 22 to 31 counties, and so based on board members, we wanted every county to have the opportunity to have at least one commissioner and one appointment to sit on this regional board, and then within that, to sit on the board of directors. So on the next page, page 3, you kind of see what counties actually fall in those regions. You guys fall in Region 3. And it kind of shows you a little bit of how the populations are set. They're pretty similar from Regions 2 through 4, but Region 1 is really those historical 7 western counties that, you know, they really do everything together, and so they kind of wanted to say their own region. So I wanted you to have that information. On that next page, page 4, it kind of shows you the board structure. So each appointment, there'll be a chair and co-chair that's already been set. And in future slides here, we'll kind of talk about that kind of sit on the board of directors. 5 is really just some information that you guys can have. I won't necessarily go over that, but on the next slide, it's got the regional board, Region 3 membership. So it tells you for each of our counties within this region who are the 2 appointments for each county. And as you guys know, Mr. Philip Barrier and Tim Phillips kind of set as your 2 representatives, and we really appreciate you both being on that regional board. On the next page, you'll see a board of directors. The chair for Region 3 is actually Billy Kennedy, who sits in Watauga, and Judy Busman from Rowan is our vice chair.
How did Rowan, excuse me, but
Yeah.
how did Rowan County supplier outreach get included with us?
Well, so Rowan kind of sat by itself, and so when we took the 9 cardinal counties, and the 9 cardinal counties are really geographically spread out, so we took a lot of these northern, north central counties like Stokes and things like that. Rowan was kind of sitting by itself, and so based on our counties and numbers and population, it made the most sense to sit with this region. It was really a matter of geographic decision as well as population. So, but good question. Any questions on our regional board? All right. The next thing, and really I guess the major reason that I'm here is to talk about the Child and Family Specialty Plan. And you guys know we've been talking about standard plan and tailored plan for several years as we came here. Talking about what's to come in Medicaid transformation. Okay. So tailored plan, this population, which is historically called the foster care waiver, is historically set or been appointed to set in this tailored plan population. And the tailored plan is really the population of your high cost, high risk individuals that have Medicaid that really probably 5% of the population that have 95% of your cost of Medicaid dollars. So the tailored plan is really designed to help cut those costs and improve health, improve outcomes, and all those things. And as we know, foster care youth in the DSS are a lot of kids in residential placement often that go up and down levels of care. So we have care managers within VIA and other LME MCOs across the state that kind of work with that population. If you look on the page behind that title slide of Child and Family Specialty Plan, it kind of tells you some bullets here. And the biggest is, this waiver proposal is supposed to be for one statewide plan or vendor. Think of that this way. So, you know, right now we've got LME MCOs that kind of are going to cover all of the Taylor Plan population. So you've got VIA, you've got Trillium down east, you've got Partners next door. So in our 31 counties, you know, we are Taylor Plan, right? However, in July of last year, Standard Plan came out, and you've got your commercial plans like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Healthy Blue of North Carolina, Ameritas, United, things like that. And so think of one plan similar to like Blue Cross Blue Shield, basically being that plan for the whole state. And what I mean by that is across 100 counties, one plan or commercial plan similar to VIA is going to be kind of assisting with this population. So they're going to pull this population out of Taylor Plan and set it with its own kind of vendor, if you will, or think of it as an insurance company, I suppose. There are some values to kind of what's in this waiver. It does create a central kind of accountability in a way of what one person's doing the plan. So if you got kids right now that cross over counties, let's say you go from a VIA 31 county over to neighboring county, there could be a 1 to 3 day transition period where kids, you know, there may be some authorization challenges. Not that they're not retroactive, but it could put a kid or a provider in some way of just having some hoops to jump through. The other piece of this, and then I'll get into some other things about that, is based on this waiver and RFP, only a standard plan or a Taylor plan can bid to operate this child and family specialty plan. So, meaning VIA or any other LMNCO could bid to be this statewide plan, although we have no reason to do that. Number one, we are in the middle of rolling out Taylor Plan in December. There's no way we could actually do that if we wanted to. And so we've talked to the state, and we talked to Dave Richards, and we've talked to Cody Kinsley, we've talked to Senator Haas. You know, what we hear back from them is their anticipation was that all the LME-MCOs would come together and be that statewide plan. But I can tell you, and we've told them, that if we wanted to, it's not possible in the time frame that they're looking at. But let's go to the next page, and this kind of shows you one more difference. This is the Child and Family Specialty Plan eligible populations. And so you've got your historical population that falls anywhere under child welfare in the department. But you've also got additional eligible populations, which include siblings of children and youth in foster care, parents, guardians, and custodians of those children and youth, and then family members receiving CPS in-home services. So that's another piece of that can kind of, just for you guys to know. If we go to the next page, there are statewide concerns, LME-MCOs, that we've looked at this waiver, we've looked at the policy papers, and we kind of align we know what the problems are across the state. And to be honest, we talk to every DSS director in our 31 counties before we ever go and talk to the DSS boards, because we want to make sure we're in alignment or somewhat of agreement of, you know, here are our concerns, do you have concerns? We wouldn't ask for support from the board without some support, at least from a DSS. They completely opposed this piece. However, this policy paper was released in February, and basically, here are some of the statewide concerns. One, there's an administrative burden on the state to develop a whole new waiver. So you think of organizationally, there's going to be state dollars that's going to have to be generated or used to have a CEO, all the infrastructure that's required to run anything similar to VIA or Blue Cross. Even if it's already embedded in one of those commercial plans, you've still got to have another step to do that. Also, an administrative and financial burden on a provider who now has to go, they've all met these requirements for Taylor Plan, well now they're going to have to build and meet these new requirements that would be somewhat different to able to contract or operate within a child and family specialty waiver. Also, it's, one of the concerns is this is based on the false premise of, a statewide plan is the only way to fix this. And so we know that, when we look at this across the state, our larger counties are probably going to get more of the attention. It's going to be data-driven. So, what you're going to lose, with the exception of, a VIA kind of being those people for DSS to call, is you would really lose that one size. I guess you wouldn't lose. It becomes a one-size-fits-all approach, and we know rural counties really don't have a very same need as a larger county. The other piece of this, and I've talked to several people about it, is in the policy papers that the state has said that they will put aside 30 beds for kids who come up in the DSS department that needs a place to go overnight for residential care. So 30 beds in 100 counties is not sufficient, considering we have pre-bought, we have 75 beds right now across our 31 counties for any kid that's in VIA's catchment that we pay for up front to hold those beds for VIA kids as they come in custody. And so if you think about a DSS couch kid, and I don't think there's a lot here in Avery, to be honest, but when there are, we can actually work with care providers, and we already have these beds available. 30 beds probably wouldn't serve Wake County, to be honest. And if you look at the next page, and I'll try to speed up here. I got 2 pages left. So the VIA itself, all LME MCOs have kind of got together. They've written several letters to the state. There is a committee, the Health and Human Services Committee, that Senator Heiss is on. We've met with him directly. If you look at any of the media coverage, Forsyth in the Winston-Salem Journal is a strong advocate against this, and they're asking that if it does move forward, could they actually opt out of being in this plan and stay with their LME-MCO. Out of our 20 or 31 counties, we've got about 2/3 of Board of Commissioners support thus far that says, hey, we're going to write a letter, and we're going to ask that the state and all of the 31 delegates within our 31 counties to kind of pause and slow down a little bit and consider a more regional board rather than a statewide approach to this. And as a part of this, we've also developed a lot of initiatives. All the LME-MCOs have gotten together in the past 2 months, and you're gonna start seeing things that I'm gonna send both him and Philip Burkell about all of the initiatives that are taking place. One will be a universal application. So if you guys know, from a DSS worker's perspective, if they're trying to apply for a residential bed for a kid, they might do 30 different applications, and they're all different. That's a lot of time, it's a lot of paperwork, and what we're asking is that we have one universal accepted electronic application that goes out to every provider, and they all use that. And that's one simple way just to make everybody's life easier. Also, we're asking for a pass-through. So an authorization standpoint, all LME and COs agree that if a kid goes from, we'll talk about border counties, let's say they go from McDowell County to Burke County within 2 LME and COs, that we do an automatic authorization pass-through, and it doesn't have any disruption in authorization or a placement holdup. But those are just some of the things. We'll have a lot more details. I know that Donald Roots, our Vice President of Provider Network, has been going out to all of our DSS directors and kind of explaining what the goals are and what the plan is. And lastly, it's how can you help? So, as you know, the waiver would require the North Carolina General Assembly to pass an enabling legislation, as it can't be implemented without existing statutes. So we're asking, and I think I've sent some templates to all of you guys, and if not, let me know, to write a letter or I guess support a letter and send it to these guys. And basically what those letters are saying is just like I said earlier, let's slow down before we move into the statewide plan. Let's consider a more regional approach, because I think the concerns that we're hearing from DSS is, yeah, there are some things that need to change. However, we do not want to lose VIA at the table. And if this goes through to the statewide plan, VIA still works in these areas. We keep our beds that we've got for VIA kids, so they're not going to open up. We just wouldn't be able to work with DSS kids. So that's really one of the things I wanted to come talk about, and open to any questions you guys may have.
So many questions.
Yeah.
And part of this is above for purview.
Sure.
And speaking in terms of the whole structure. A couple of years ago, when we started talking about Medicaid expansion, and the part that the LMEs would play as opposed to the providers, I think was the word they were using at that time. I'm not sure what they, and the standard plan and tailored plan and all of this. And as predicted, it is less than efficient. And when I got this, I was trying to read through this and trying to pull out the nuts and bolts of it and get away from the bias of what's good for us or me, as opposed to what's good for Avery County, because that's really what I'm concerned about.
Absolutely.
And so in looking at this, the LME MCO areas that now has been expanded because of the Cardinal takeover by, what, 9 counties?
Yeah,
I think.
9 counties.
So, VIA has had difficulty sometime and presented to us on numerous occasions of the lack of funding to operate efficiently within their catchment areas. So would this change in any way decrease or increase that financial capacity to operate? It would seem to me that we are looking at, from a LME standpoint, not just VIA, but all of the different ones, that if we're having difficulty getting funding, and that funding is now going to be going to another spot, that just exacerbates the problem.
Yeah, I think, is that your question?
Yeah, is that, I mean, am I looking at, what I'm saying is, am I looking at that correctly? And if so, what the impact is going to be for VIA as a whole and their operations here in Avery County?
Sure, yeah, I think there's a great question. You know, one, a lot of the state cuts come on the uninsured. So if you remember, kind of right now, still VIA operates funding for both those who are uninsured under state funds and also those under Medicaid Direct. So those that are not in standard plan, but those who are in Medicaid Direct. And you know, every single year, the state changes what their budget is going to be and what they're going to allot to every service. And then within that, we make decisions. We use a lot of our leftover savings, and we put that back into the community in ways such as building a new respite facility, right? So as we think about, you know, we're carving out, we have basically built the ship, I guess you could say, to operate tailored plan based on the percentage numbers of Medicaid eligible that in our 31 counties that would actually fall in tailored plan. So we have those predicted numbers. Everything we've built is to serve that. If this carve out happens, that will significantly impact, and so where staffing will certainly change in that way. The funding itself would still be siloed in the way that it would, probably through everybody under child welfare, because that's a state budget. It would follow whoever that person is. I guess what you would lose is, you know, we don't have rules of how we can use our cost savings. And you got to remember this, LME MCOs are nonprofit commercial plans like Blue Cross Blue Shield are for-profit. So if you take a standard plan, which is gonna be the only one bidding for this waiver, because no LME and CO is agreed to do it, we just can't right now. You know, whoever that is, if they save money, they're not gonna put that back in, they're gonna put that back into profit. So, you know, that's one way to look at it. I don't think it changes necessarily from what the state's gonna give. The state's gonna give whatever they budgeted, so it's just a matter of who it goes to. If it funnels back through where it's supposed to, through tailored plan population, then again, we have more flexibility to really figure out where the needs are in our 31 counties and move that money to where those needs are, versus if you take that out, one, it really wouldn't impact that because, you know, Blue Cross or whoever. And I know, you know, every DSS reg, we know Blue Cross is a strong advocate to be the person to do this plan. And I think they've called all 100 DSS directors that we've heard from and across the state. So I hope that answers your question a little bit.
To a degree. I'm sorry,
Well, I was just like, you know, historically, when you use the term statewide,
Mm-hmm.
the rural counties are gonna be the counties that are left out, are
You
gonna
know,
be the less, you know, provided for.
That's a concern that we have. We are, you know, I think the other thing is it's gonna be data driven. And if you look at a lot of data and you've got 3 kids over here in Avery County that need a bed and you've got 20 in Mecklenburg, where's the attention going? And so, you know, again, we just want, where value's been really good, and I'll just be honest, from my opinion, is in rural counties. I think that's how we've had so much success and, you know, all that we've done. So.
Right now, correct me because this has changed a lot since we started, but those families that are in the standard plan operated through the providers, and then the enhanced services and all through the tailored plan would be that are operated through VIA. The families that would be in those standard plans, should those kids that are part of that, are they tied anyway to that, or once they become into DSS, does that dissolve that tie in all together and they're not limited to those providers?
So I'm going to try to answer this. The kids that are in standard plan today, the children and families, if they were to come into custody, they could qualify for a tailored plan or what's right now is Medicaid direct. If that happens and it stays the way it is, we're regional, then nothing would really change. If it went into this child and family specialty plan waiver, things would change or could change because there's also a different eligibility population, right? So they're going to add guardians, families, brothers, siblings, things like that. So, you know, there is, and again, you know, as we talk about tailored plan, I can't tell you exactly what it's going to look like in December. We can tell you everything we've built, everything that's in the requirements that we have agreed to do. And if you look at report cards across all LME and COs, we're still the highest ranked and we're the most prepared to go live right now. So, tough question to, I guess, really give you specifics on, but hopefully that helps a little bit.
It does, and I don't mean to be argumentative, it's just that I think it's important that we really understand the impact and what we're looking at, because this is such a convoluted system, and we've been trying to keep up with it from the beginning, and just when we think we have it, we don't. And it's been so many times, and even terminology has changed, and providers have changed, and like I say, ultimately, what we're concerned with is the impact it's going to have on our local DSS.
Sure.
And because that's who our responsibility is.
Absolutely.
So how, you know, this decision is what's going to impact it the most positively and the least negatively. And that's why I'm trying to figure out how all this is working on a larger scale, because as we know, bigger does not necessarily mean better, but just a lot of moving parts that we want to be sure we understand. At least that's mine.
Yeah, you know, I share those concerns, and I think part of why we're here and we're going around our county. You know, the thing that I would say that's gonna be the biggest difference, that I've talked about a little bit, VIA is in almost all community meetings in every county. Alright, so we're at the table, we're there, so if we say we're gonna do something and we don't do it, we can be held accountable right there in front of the whole community, right? I don't know that you get that with a statewide plan. We have care managers in every county, we have them embedded in DSS. I know we're working now to get a care manager embedded in Avery DSS. All those we've really been adding things like that. So, you know, if it's somebody we're not even serving, and DSS has a question about, you know, how do I navigate this, they can walk over and ask that person. Those care managers are sitting in staffings, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the DSSs are having, just able to kind of help DSSs walk through that. I can't tell you 100% you wouldn't get that with a statewide plan. I'd be very surprised if you did. So, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, the relationships. We do a lot of things, kind of the family or the social determinants of health grant, where we run around and, you know, there's another pot of funding coming out where DSSs can use money for housing and transportation for families under child welfare, to kind of help those families and then reimburse them. So we're always trying to help. We know DSS is a tough job, right? So they sit a lot of times on weekends and holidays with kids in our office until the vet's found. And so we have all kinds of processes, and we build a network to try to help them limit that as much as possible. Nothing in the statewide plan is going to fix any issues that we are aware of that we've talked to all DSSs about. It's not going to add beds. In fact, it's going to limit beds because no LMMCO is going to give up the beds they've already got for the other kids. There'll still be other kids that we serve, right, that's not in the DSS custody that have these high needs. And so, you know, I guess that's just one of the bigger things, and hopefully that's helpful in a way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Justin, is the timeline still proposed to be December 2023? Not this December, but a year, December.
Yeah,
Before,
so you're talking about for the RF?
for this launch, if the state goes through with it.
Yeah, so, you know, there's discussions of the state, you know, here's what we're hearing. The state's gonna move forward, even though they're receiving some huge amount of county board, the whole board of the commissioners saying, hey, we're gonna adopt this letter, we're sending it. We've got the DSS directors doing the same thing. There is a potential to push back the application process. I will tell you, this administration really wants this done before the end of the year.
End of this year.
Not go live, but the RFP to come out.
Okay.
And once that comes out, there's no going back. So if they put out an RFP or an RFA or a for application, somebody has to bid on it and somebody will get it. They can't move backwards once they do that. That's why we're kind of trying to get ahead and say, listen, ask the state to slow down. At least let's consider, is this really going to fix what we want to fix? And at the same time, all LMEMCOs are going across and saying, we're talking to all of our DSS directors, just not our 31 counties. We're coming together, we're working together and say, how can we make this easier for DSS, which has been our goal since we've ever existed.
I guess that begs the next question, which we have found to be the case sometimes as we, try to influence what happens in Raleigh. Is this a done deal and we're just an exercise in futility here? Because, I mean, if that's the case, then...
I don't think it's a done deal. I think, again, this administration really wants this to move forward. I think there are certain parts of the state, Piedmont, for example, more of the eastern part of the state, and when I say that, DSS directors where LMEMCOs have not done a great job. They probably do want this to go through, even though they're not sure how it's going to fix anything. We still believe that we can impact the decision that comes out, because at the end of the day, things do have to get voted on, and that's why we say, let's don't send this to Cody, Kinsley, Dave Richards, because they want this to go through, right? Let's send it to our representatives, our senators, all of our 31 delegates in all of our counties. So I do believe there's impact, which is why I'm here.
Any questions or anything else concerning?
Glad you came and explained that, because
Yes, sir.
it needed to be, needed to hear.
When we got our packet with all this stuff, and I was reading through it, and all I know is that I don't know what I know.
Yeah, and hopefully, guys, you know, I sent a lot of information, including the letter draft that we provided to everybody, that if you wanted to do that, you can change whatever language you want. You can tailor it to what you really want. If there's something in there you don't want, take it out. If there's something in there that you want to include that's not in there, put it in. And if you have any questions about who you would send it to, or what decisions, or any questions at all, feel free. You guys have my number, feel free to let me know.
We have some ladies here from our DSS,
Yeah.
and I'd say they've got all kinds of questions, and wondering which way to go and
Sure.
what to do.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, we're trying to, again, continuously talk about this with DSS directors. Kills, you know, a lot of those conversations. And it's hard to understand, it's hard to, sometimes, you know, what do we do? And that's why we're just trying to say, you know, if you want more time to decide, you know, let's ask the state for that.
We thank you, Justin, and if we've got any more questions, we'll ask you to come back, okay? Or-
Thank you.
Speak publicly, yeah, we will have more questions.
Sounds good, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move right along to 3.3B, Department of Social Service Attorney.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we table this until such time as we get more information. We're all at least getting the same book, if not on the same page.
All right,
I'll second that.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Sorry, ladies, but we've tabled that. Get more information, and that's the best thing to do when you don't know all the answers and questions to it. Thank you for coming up. All right, we'll move right along to 3.4A, County Manager's Report.
Madam Chairman, I have just a few things, and a lot of it's just dates that I want to make sure that the room and the board knows about. But a couple of things that's in your information and agenda consent items. Jail inspection, there was an inspection from the state. Everything passed on June 8th, so that's in your packet. Senior Center compliance review, that was also successful, so that happened since we've met the last time. Our housing, the project here at Newland, is before the committee. We are one of 84 applications that's asking for those grants. So be in prayer, or if you know anyone to call that could help persuade that committee, that would be helpful in Raleigh. Also new to your report this week, in this packet is a Dss report that Raquel's going to start giving to me monthly. So that'll be the first one of those that you've had in a while. So I just want you to see the hard work that they are doing in DSS. Any questions about any of that stuff that's in your agenda consent or informational items? If not, I'll go over. So Saturday is our Heritage Festival. It's up at the square, and the museum will be hosting that. That is from 9 to 3. And also, that's when the Inn at Shetty Long will be also having their ribbon cutting and open house. So if you have time, swing by there. Our Singing on the Mountain at Grandfather is 10 to 2, and that will be on Sunday.
The final.
And that is slated to be the final Singing on the Mountain, so that you may want to go to that also. 4th of July parades, we've got plenty. So this Saturday in Pike community, the parade lineup is at 6:45, the parade's at 7 with food to follow. So that's this weekend on Saturday. July 1st at Minneapolis is at 7 p.m. that night is a concert with Skyline Ministries, and then fireworks to follow, and the parade is the next day on the 2nd. I believe that. Woody, do you know what time the parade happens to be on that, I don't know that I've got that wrote down.
Lineup is at 12:30 at the old Minneapolis Road, and the
Okay.
parade starts at 1.
Okay, so that parade's at 1. Plumtree has their parade on the 2nd at 4 o'clock. Line up at 3:30 at the Plumtree Presbyterian Church. Beach Mountain, Saturday the 2nd, is their daily activities and fireworks that night. Elk Park's parade is on the 2nd. Parade starts at 5 and fireworks to follow at dusk. Newland has their parade set for Saturday the 2nd at 10. There'll be vendors all day, street dance that night, fireworks at dusk. Cranberry having their community event on the 3rd. The parade lineup is at 5:30 and the parade is at 6, followed by a meal at the shelter at the Cranberry Baptist Church. Banner Elk, Sugar, and Land Harbor all have their festivities on the 4th. Then, if that's not enough to keep you busy, Highland Games starts on Thursday the 7th. That will run through the 10th. You'll need to visit their website for all their activities, so we are going to be busy. Just a reminder, Wednesday the 29th at 9:45 at the Ag Center, we will have our meeting for the sheriff, and his swearing in will take place at 10. That is at the community center, at the Heritage Park, not at the courthouse, okay? And this Thursday night from 5:30 to 8 is the Grandfather Mountain Wilson Theater ribbon cutting. So if anybody'd like to ride up, just let me know. We need to be there at 5:30. And I will be attending on behalf of the county, the ribbon cutting at the planetarium with Mayland Community College at 4 on Friday at the Energy Exchange planetarium. So, that's all I have. Plenty to do. Any other questions or updates that anybody needs?
We can keep up with all that and be on time each time, we'll be good, won't we? Hey, but it's good to get out and celebrate the 4th of July and to do it with each little part of Avery County and
I just realized I failed to find out about Crossmore, so we'll have to look that one up and I'll have to let you know.
all right. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have unless there's any questions.
All right, if you notice, we do have one commissioner out today, but his grandpa passed away, and Mr. Gerald Aldridge, and he was a big help to our senior center. He took the longest run there was and took meals to about 20 people down on 19E. And then if somebody that was designated to do meals and cooking, he volunteered to take those, so we need to really appreciate these people. And Miss Rachel Deal, we need to think of their family. They're not gonna have anything anytime soon. They're gonna wait and have it at a different date. All right, we'll move right along with our agenda. Mr. Caleb Hogan, Finance Officer.
Afternoon, Board. 9 items for your consideration today. Item number 1, the Department of EMS requests a budget amendment for increased personnel costs due to overtime, comp time, to cover vacancies and staff on personal and sick leave. These expenditures will be offset by revenue received in excess of budget estimates and recognizing revenue from the Cannon Foundation Paramedicine Grant. Grant reimburses for salary and paramedicine-related expenses. The Board approved the following budget amendment. Debit salaries part-time, general fund line item 5300.0210, in the amount of $30,000. Debit salaries EMT, General fund line item 5300.0220 in the amount of $70,000. Debit salary secretary, general fund line item 5300.0230 in the amount of $4,300. Debit FICA, general fund 5300.0500 in the amount of $5,300. Retirement, general fund line item 5300.0600 in the amount of $1,000. Debit fuel, general fund line item 5300.3110 in the amount of $5,000. Debit contracted services, general fund line item 5300.5400 in the amount of $16,000. And credit, Cannon Foundation grant, general fund line 3807 in the amount of $70,000. And credit EMS revenue, general fund line item 3630 in the amount of $61,600.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
To approve.
Do I hear a second? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Item number 2, due to increased revenues on excise stamps, the Register of Deeds requires an increase in the excise tax line item. Request the board to adopt the following budget amendment to debit excise tax stamps, general fund line item 4800.5700 in the amount of $250,000, and to credit state excise stamps, general fund line item 3571 in the amount of $250,000.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
So.
I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
That's one question.
All right.
Is this current year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, the budgeted revenue for state excise stamps was $600,000 was the budgeted. The actual that we received in excise stamps was $1,190,356, half of which goes to the state.
Right. Just want to but that's this current year that we're in right now.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And hopefully that budget amendment will be good till the 30th at midnight.
Yeah.
All right, and we heard a motion to adopt in the second. Did we vote?
You kind of did.
Okay. All right. As all that's in favor to adopt this budget amendment, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Item number 3, Avery County will collect fire taxes in excess of budgeted figures. A budget amendment is required in order to pass through the additional tax collections. The board will adopt the following budget amendment to debit fire commission, fire tax fund 20, line item 6600.4012 in the amount of $160,000, and to credit tax collections fire tax fund 20, line item 3100 in the amount of $160,000.
I hear a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Item number 4, the Department of Public Grounds has incurred additional expenses due to increased cost of fuel, increased cost of cleaning supplies, and the increase in utility expenses. The board adopt the following budget amendment to debit utilities, electricity / water sewer, general fund line item 5,000.1300 in the amount of $11,900. Debit gas, diesel fuel, general fund line item 10, line item 5,000.3110 in the amount of $5,000. Debit cleaning supplies, fund line item 5,000.3300 in the amount of $25,000. And to credit available for appropriations, general fund line item 7,000.6000 in the amount of $41,900.
I have a question for you, Caleb.
Yes.
How can cleaning supplies go up $25,000?
And me and Star, we've combed over this, and we've looked at it, and it comes from a lot of different things. One is the increased cost of supplies. that being part of it. For example, pre-pandemic, a box of black trash bags cost $40, now it costs $60. Was pre-pandemic were $10 a box, now they're about $25. We've paid as much as $25 a box. Some instances, the items we want that are cheaper are out of stock, and we have to settle for a slightly more expensive product. Another factor is this not only covers cleaning supplies, this covers the rugs and the cleanings for the rugs through Centos. Some of the departments, since we've opened back up, since we've had an increase in population here in Avery County and our offices are being frequented more, they've increased the rotation for the cleaning of the rugs. This was also, we started the community center a little over a year ago now, and we've added rugs there, and that wasn't factored into the budget. And looking at the expenses, they've raised about $800 for the agricultural extension office, where those rugs and the paper towels and the soap, since we've had thousands of people through there, and that's equated for about $800 a month. And we also have more hand sanitizing stations that we didn't have pre-pandemic. Those filled and stocked and a lot more disinfectant supplies than what we were. Been comparing those invoices, and we've been talking, actually last week, I was talking to Bonham about trying to find better deals, and somebody come and was pitching that they could sell it for a better deal, and we asked them if they'd provide some samples that he could compare. You know, trash bags aren't good if they're busting through, so he's going to compare some and see if we can't get some better pricing.
Just my question, I mean, I
completely understand.
I'm afraid this is something that we're gonna see from here
go
on out.
up more and more every time we order it.
And in the coming year, we did budget some more. I worry with inflation, it won't be enough, but we did try to forward look and budget some more.
It's not cheap, and cheap is not good.
That's good. All right.
Move we approve.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Item number 4, the Department of Item number 5, the Solid Waste Department has seen an increase in contract hauling due to the increase in construction and the closure of the Avery County landfill. The department has also experienced an increase in auto supplies, fuel, and tire disposal. Request the board approve the following budget amendment to debit auto supplies, general fund line item 5800.3100 in the amount of $5,000. Debit gas/diesel fuel, general fund line item 5800.3110 in the amount of $55,000. Debit tire disposal, general fund line item 5800.5430 in the amount of $10,000. Debit contract hauling trash, general fund line item 5800.50 in the amount of $50,000, and credit solid waste fees, general fund line item 3215 in the amount of $120,000.
So saying you have to eat crow sometimes, and that's what we're doing.
Nature of the beast, man.
And I will make.
We're gonna have more trash.
I will make note, you know, as you can see, this is not a fund balance appropriation. This is acknowledgement. While we did have more expense, we also took in more revenue than what we budgeted for solid waste. So just recognizing that revenue.
When everybody reads the paper, they can see where their tax money is going to pay these bills. All right, do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second? It's been a motion on the floor and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you. We're on the home stretch.
I would like to, before we go on, for us to be provided an update in the very near future of where we stand with Bristol, City, where we're at with see the news, they're having a really time in Bristol.
We haven't gotten an official letter. And they are gonna give us a 30-day notice if that official letter comes. So, but we are already working with the county attorney on the request for proposals.
I talked to her about that.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
Item number 6, the non-departmental unit needs a budget amendment for increased costs for state secured detention. Request the board adopt the following budget amendment to debit state secured detention, general fund line item 7,000.6135 in the amount of $20,000, and to credit fund balance appropriation, general fund line item 3990 in the amount of $20,000.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I hear a second. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Item number 7, the Avery Department of Transportation has received $36,021 to provide reimbursement for the costs associated with offering transportation to citizens needing the COVID-19 vaccine, other pandemic-related expenses. Request the board adopt the following budget amendment to debit CARES Act, general fund line item 6,300, 3,700, the amount of $36,021, and to credit transportation revenue, general fund line item 3610.
I hear a motion to adopt.
Second, that's the one you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that.
We'll be like black members.
All in favor,
Reimbursement.
say aye. Aye.
Good one, this one's not quite as good one. The sheriff's office needs to amend their budget to address increase in fuel costs. The board adopt the following budget amendment to debit gas, diesel fuel, general fund line item 5100.3110 in the amount of $25,000, and to credit fund balance appropriation, general fund line item 3990 in the amount of $25,000.
Do I hear a motion to adopt?
Moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Last item I have for your consideration, the Department of Social Services budget needs amended to cover an increase in professional legal fees, special assistance to aged or disabled program, and the state foster care for approximately 50% from state and federal funds. Request the board adopt the following budget amendment to debit professional legal fees, general fund line item 6100.0300 in the amount of $33,000. Debit SAA and SAD, line item 6800.66 in the amount of $15,000. Debit state foster care 4E, general fund line item 6800 in the amount of $95,000. Credit foster care state revenue, general fund line item 3635, in the amount of $77,000, and credit fund balance appropriated, general fund line item 3990, in the amount of $6,000.
I hear a motion to adopt.
To adopt. Second with the question.
Yes.
So our portion of this is the amount pulled from fund balance, and the other is the state funded item that comes to us. Am I looking at that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
All I have. Have any questions for me?
Real quick.
It's the end of the year budget amendment.
This happens every
Every
year,
year.
so it's not a shock. It's a little higher than every year because of the fuel and tires and stuff, but we do this to clean up
Yeah.
about every year. All right?
Things change and we get in any worse shape a year from now.
We'll ask you how to make a dollar go further than a
That's
dollar.
right, that's right. We're gonna make it squeal this coming year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
All right, we'll move right along to 3.4C, and our attorney is on vacation, so we will skip that. Glad she could go on vacation. 3.5, staff reports and requests, do we have any?
We do not, Madam Chair.
3.6, we won't go in closed session because we don't have an attorney, so we'll back that up. All right, 3.7, we don't have any minutes, so we back that one up. 3.8, agenda consent items. Do you have anything you want to talk about in that?
I think I've mentioned the jail inspection and the senior center inspection, so, it should be good.
We should be proud of those facilities,
Yeah.
because most of the time, they kind of check you, they're gonna find something. So, we'll adopt the agenda consent items by consent. 3.9, I believe Phillips has given us enough information, if we've got it all wrote down real fast. I wish I'd touched shorthand when I was in school. All right. 3.10, our upcoming meetings. We do have a change in that. We will not have a meeting, the 1st of July. So we'll just have one meeting in July, and that'll be July the 18th. Because we like to celebrate just like everybody else does.
There's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday, so.
If nothing else, I hear a motion that we adjourn. I hear a second. I'll second that. Everyone can go to the house, and thank you all for being here.
Sit down.